So something's taking place that I find very, very interesting that I'm very passionate about. I love coin shops. I try to go to a coin shop wherever it is I am. I'm very passionate. They're each unique. They're all kind of based on the personality of the owner. Some are like scary, some are wonderful. They're all so different. But let's face it, there's about 12 to 15,000 coin shops throughout the United States. Okay. A huge number. And I've always felt they're an anchor in the community. The well-run ones provide a great service for hobbyists. And so Stack's, the original shop in New York, I went there like in the early 90s, wonderful location. But you're starting to do something that's very interesting. You opened up the shop in Philadelphia about a year ago, which I visited. By the way, beautiful shop. Great. Very gorgeous. Great team there. I met Andrew Bowers.
So Andrew's based in our New York shop, but he might have been there, filling in or doing some training.
Sure.
So we...
Then you just opened the one in Boston, right?
Boston's coming this fall.
Okay, good.
This fall, yeah. So we're gonna have this little cluster in the Northeast. So in New York, the original, actually not the original, because there was, goes way back the Stacks business, but we were on 57th Street for 60 years.
I was going to say 122 years.
Yeah,
it was old school.
It was old school, and it was the clubhouse. And I don't talk to a customer that's been in the business or that's been a collector for more than 10 years that has not been to that shop. It's just really incredible how big of a landmark that location was in New York. But like anything over 60 years and in our location on, I think they call it Billionaires Row on 57th Street, where they're building these giant towers and selling $100 million penthouses and things of that nature. The building that we're in, 60 years old at least, was ultimately sold and going to be torn down and some monster thing built up. So we were sad to leave because of the legacy and all of that we were there. But again, another blessing in disguise where we moved right around the corner. We're a block away. We're now on Park Avenue in 57th Street and found an incredible new spot, was able to refresh. You can imagine, after 60 years, the space needed a little bit of a refreshing and built this, really first-class gallery on Park Avenue, added some more space, some more people, and just have, I think really carried on that tradition of this iconic coin shop in New York City and Manhattan. So really proud of that. We opened that in August of 2020. We had a little bit of delay because, the COVID hysteria in terms of when we were building out the space. But then we saw the success that we've had in New York, and we looked at Philadelphia, and we had, kind of a leadership team in place with Bobby Avina being in that location, and really some iconic coin shops of the past in Philadelphia. And obviously you met, the history and just what's around there. And we looked at our customer base and we saw, all these customers within, a 50-mile radius of Philadelphia, and it just made sense. So we went down the path of building that space out, and we opened that, I think in September of 2021.
So I was here in November.
Okay. And we built a really a great team there, which supplements all of our operation. So able to service customers with everything, buying their collections, selling them coins, buying and selling bullion, taking auction consignments, delivering auction purchases, really the whole scope of services that we offer. And then we started working on the next one. So we're well underway in construction of what's going to be our biggest location yet, which is in downtown Boston, right in the financial kind of bordering the financial district and Faneuil Hall, which is the number one tourist attraction in all of Boston. Fantastic location.
Again, coin shops, I really think they're like the churches of the numismatic community, where the people can come together and talk coins, share coins. We do commercials in the San Francisco Bay Area. Highly suggest that you do commercials. You should star in them. You can be like, it's Crazy Brian's Coin Shop here at Stacks, and you bring people in, you know, complimentary appraisals. But yeah. So,
yeah. All right.
I got crazy ideas how to run a coin shop. All right. So,
all right.
So anytime you want.
Tell me what's works.
Yeah. So the Boston one, I'm really excited for. It sounds like a really big one. I remember Jim Halperin. You know, he was in the first episode of Slab Lab. Would talk about his coin shop, and it sounded very impressive, downtown Boston, and that seemed to work out really well. So I think it's going to be a home run.
You know, once a week or more. You know, it's just like you won't believe what really? Walked in today. It's fun. And so we expect that to happen in Boston, and
it's a good story. It's great stories, and definitely I encourage you to like write an article or do whatever, create a video around the coin that walked in.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do a lot at our shop. When something really cool comes in, we actually do a video.
Yeah.
Pretty much right then and there as it comes in, like it's laying on the velvet tray in the original paper envelope it came in. People love to see that.
Yeah.
So if you could try to preserve that history of how it kind of walked in over the counter.
Absolutely.
People love it. I mean, that's what I love. That's my favorite thing about the coin shop.
Yeah.
It's like Indiana Jones every single day.
Every day.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think about the Northeast, like we being in San Francisco really didn't get going until the 1850s. Most of the coins that we get are obviously later 19th century and a lot of 20th century San Francisco minted stuff.
Yeah.
And we rarely ever get an early type. And I think being in New England, I mean, obviously you'll get a lot of bust coins, a lot of colonial coins. It's really kind of fascinating to see the different veins of material that coin shops bring in based on where their location is.
Yeah, I think you get all of that for sure, but then there's this other layer that is out there with all the history that we have as an auction company. Yeah. So you've got all of the Bowers and Merena and Bowers and Ruddy and the stacks and you know, again, we see it often. You know, a client will come in and say, you know, my grandfather bought these in 1973 from a Bowers and Ruddy auction or a stacks auction, and you know, it's just like,
it's cool.
You know, eye-popping in there in the original paper envelopes, like you said, and all of that. So, you know, I think that part really helps us to, you know, make our auctions super interesting, and it's one of those tides that I think rises all boats. And when you get super fresh auction consignments, it really just makes the whole sale that much more interesting and that much more participation and all of that. So
So Stacks Bars has had a tremendous amount of success over the last several years, and you coming from an investment banking background and a numbers person, no matter how well you do, the next year you got to do 10, 15, 20% better, right?
Yeah.
So what's in the future for Stacks Bars? What are you working on? What are you trying to do over the next few years to grow? Yeah,
I think you know, growth is an interesting thing in our business, and obviously you've got the market in general that's going to push you one direction or another. But it's funny, you know, this was kind of how naive I was, I think, when I kind of came into the business and we, you know, started working with Stacks, and I'm putting together my budget, you know, for the year, and okay, here's what we're going to do, and here's the synergies that get brought in from combining these businesses, and all this traditional, I think,
Excel spreadsheet stuff, right?
All that stuff, yeah. Pages and pages of Excel.
Right.
And, you know, I called up Larry Stack, who at this point, you know, he was probably pretty skeptical of me and all of that. And I said, Larry, you know, I'm working on the budget for next year, and I need to know what kind of consignments you're going to get. He goes, I don't know. So, what do you mean? How am I supposed to run a business and allocate millions of dollars of expenses if you can't tell me, you know, $1 of revenue that's going to be created?
Right.
It says, you know, I don't know. It's not up to me. You know, I've got all these seeds planted. I've got hundreds or thousands of customer relationships, and I can tell you that $100 million of coins are going to get consigned to me, but I can't tell you when that's going to happen. I can't tell you when someone's going to pass or get divorced or the market gets in the right situation or whatever the catalyst for those deals coming in. And I didn't understand it, you know. I said, but wait, I gotta go to the board. I gotta say, you know, I need X millions of dollars to run this business, and the revenue line's gonna be blank, and it's gonna be it will come. So, you know, I think that what I learned is, you know, first and foremost, like most things, Larry was right. You know, it's really hard it's hard to predict. But that being said, I mean, I think you talked about Devon earlier, you know, we talk about our wholesale business, we talk about adding these new locations, the innovations that we've made on the auction side and growing market share there. You know, so I think I'm which my business and investment banking background kind of would shudder at hearing me say, but really just focused on making the business better and creating more opportunities, and that revenue and that growth is going to come. So, you know, I think that it's building more relationships with our wholesale customers, building more relationships with the collectors, and building, and just, you know, if we deliver great results, I think the business kind of takes care of itself.
That's cool. You're doing it the right way. And I can see how you being an investment banker, then you hear old school, I don't know. Then you got to manage that, but you just got to like, okay, you still got to do your job and plow forward.
And Larry, you know, back, this is kind of just a funny story I was thinking about, because, you know, Larry was an icon, and, you know, he can be a little gruff, and again,
can't question him.
He was
you know,
super skeptical of me, and he's like, what a dumb question, you know, and
young brat.
So I was like, you know, I couldn't argue with him. I said, you know, okay, you're the boss. Right. You're on the Mount Rushmore of you know, coin dealers. Right. So I'll just listen and figure out a different way to handle it.
That's good. Great way to approach it. So I have a question for you. You've met with a lot of different kinds of collectors. Sure. You know, one-on-one meetings. You know, they're building collections. They're consigning collections. What is the common denominator that you've noticed among the most successful collectors? It doesn't have to do monetarily, but just who built great collections of any value that people admire. What's the common denominator? And let's turn that into advice to collect. Thousands of people are going to watch this video, thousands of collectors. What would stick out in your mind that you would recommend to collectors to be a better collector?
Yeah, I mean, I think the great collectors really they come in a couple of different, you know, versions. I'd say, you know, you've got like the Brent Pogue. I mean, so much passion, so much knowledge, and, you know, I'd say the guts or the fortitude to go and say, I'm going to go buy the best, and I'm going to compete, because I know that having the best is going to that A, that's what I want to do, and B, that's the best investment you can do. And, you know, it's scary when you're setting new price records and things of that nature, but the combination of that with the knowledge, you know, what is the best, and not only what is the best, but what are the right coins to buy, and to focus on. And so, you know, I think about somebody like Brent, and, you know, just the most passionate collector you've ever seen. And then, you know, there's fantastic collectors, people that have built great collections that, you know, rely on advice from, you know, somebody like our firm or a dealer or yourself, and say, you know, I want to build a great collection. I don't necessarily have the time to, you know, spend doing all the research and scouring the world and the market for the right coins, and you know, Seth, you go and do that for me, or Brian, you do that for me with the team of experts at your disposal, and really help to do that. So having the knowledge, you know, whether it's the collector themselves building that knowledge, or relying on somebody that's a good dealer, that's another expert, that's the key. You know, it's getting the right things, it's getting them at the right price, it's taking advantage of that opportunity when a coin comes onto the market that might not come onto the market again for 10 years. You know, you got to go for it, and it's scary, and it's scary to set a new price record and things like that. But I think, as we've all seen, that over time, you know, those are usually the coins that pay off the best, right?
Well, yeah, that are other collectors consistently throughout time will recognize that coin for the exact same reason you recognize it as being an amazing coin.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very true. So let's give some advice to young numismatists out there. We were saying earlier that I'm shocked how many young numismatists want to become coin dealers. And you yourself have had mentors in the business, and I'm sure you're a mentor to some of the other people who work here. What advice would you have to a young numismatist who wants to enter the coin business? What's the best approach to take, or a good approach to take, would you say?
I mean, I think.
And don't say, hey, just come work at Saks.
Well, I mean, that's not.
Yeah, that's a shortcut.
Obvious.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
you know, we're ready for you youngins, and we've got the experts to help train you in the different areas. But I think there's a big disconnect, I think, in knowing that an opportunity to work in the coin business even exists. We've got some young folks and great up and coming, incredibly smart, you know, young people that are working here, and you know, they're going to college and they're in you know, top universities, and they're looking and they don't necessarily see, I think, the coin business as a traditional path, right? You know, they might look and they might say, I'm going to go into consulting, or I'm going to go to law school, or this, that, or the other. And, you know, I think the opportunities that exist within the coin business and what you can learn, I mean, there's no better business person and negotiators than in the coin business. I mean, you know this. It's really incredible how much business goes into each transaction and trade and you know, the negotiations and the art of war, so to speak.
I learned everything about business by working in the coin shop from 14 to 18 when I was a kid.
Right.
You learn how to work with people and how to do the right thing and the value of your reputation. It's fascinating. Life skills get learned in the coin business, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's one of the biggest things, is creating awareness that there's this opportunity, and this can be a profession, and a lucrative profession, and so fulfilling in so many ways that you know, I'm not sure a lot of people, you know, young folks, young numismatists know that that's a path.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
sure.
You know, we it's funny, you know, we were walking around earlier and you saw Larry who works for us and recently, you know, joined when we acquired his Coins in Motion, and he's like, this is my dream job, you know, but I never knew that, you know, that I could be here, and I was like, well, you're perfect. Like, you are, you know, that young, passionate numismatist, but you also, you know, he's also had experiences in other businesses and with different technology, and it's like brings so much to what we're doing. And
you're right. You know, my brain's just going. I'm like, you're right. There's such a disconnect now. We have to do better.
Yeah.
It's up to us to kind of educate the kids and like show them and tell them these are the opportunities. I'll use two examples. Abigail, she is a Whitter Coin U alumni. She's coming again this year, and she's also our intern. And day one, her stated goal was to go into the coin business with a focus on education. Like work for the ANA or work for, you know, a foundation that focuses on numismatics. And that's just so admirable. And quite frankly, she's carrying Whitter Coin U right now. She's doing all the busy work behind the scenes. And Abigail, I know you're going to watch this, really appreciate you. And, you know, she's also on the Fund Board of Governors now.
Okay.
She, a 19-year-old female young numismatist is now on the board of directors of Fund.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we were her campaign manager. You know, we helped her out. It was the first campaign we ever ran. But yeah, it was just awesome to get this young blood. So I think Abigail is a perfect example of, she loves coins, and she was able to identify what she wanted to do within coins, which isn't like buying and selling coins at a coin show, which is what most people think it is. The other, and this is a little bit of a shout out to Ben Brody. He's our vice president of interns. And this is his fourth summer interning with us. He's originally from PA. And, you know, he will be a senior at FSU this fall, Florida State University. And when he went away to college, I told him, like, look, have fun at college. You know, do your thing. Do the experience. But I said, really try to do everything in your power to not go into the coin business. You know, because be an investment banker, try this, try that. But I said, if coins are calling you, and it's in your heart, you're going to go in the coin business. So I actually had to sit down with him for the first time a few months ago to say, hey, look, here's how your career would look at Whitter Coin, and so you have a viable option when you do graduate and make a decision. Yeah. So I wanted to paint like a clear picture of what it would be like, you know, just his day-to-day responsibilities and all that. And that's important. So, you know, college isn't for everybody. Some people go into coins right away, but it's good to have a college experience. But it's more important to do something that you love. And if you're collecting coins and you love it, there's a ton of opportunities, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost endless, and there's opportunities that you and I haven't even thought of today that, you know, in 2, 3, 5 years that are going to be there that these young kids are going to come up with, right?
Yeah.
They're going to change it.
We're going to be
Change
doing
the
like a
market.
Slab Lab version 5 with you in 5 years, and we're going to be like, oh my God, how far has it come just in 5 years? You never would have imagined.
Yeah, for sure. We'll
So
be holograms.
Yeah, exactly, right? So this has been a lot of fun, you know, it's good. Now the world kind of gets to know you a little bit too, and like what Stack is all about and your career trajectory and all the goals you're going to accomplish, so yeah.
A lot of fun. I
Yeah,
really
it's a lot of
appreciate
fun.
it.
Yeah, of course. All right, cool.
Appreciate it.
Right on. That was fun.